Oh, hello there, fellow humans. Today we're gonna dive into toxicity. What does toxicity do to human beings like me and you? And how come raw chickens ain't toxic? But the beet kvass I was drinking yesterday, that was toxic as hell. I felt like shit after that, and I got a little rash after that, and I haven't had any of those symptoms before. Have a little beet kvass, little fermented traditional beet drink, and suddenly here's a nice mix of depression with a little skin rash and itchy scalp. Those beets suck ass. Oxalates. I cannot handle oxalates anymore at all. What is going on? Raw chicken never gives me itchy skin rashes. Anyway, that's not the point of today's video. We're gonna check out what does toxicity do to human bodies. Let's check it out, guys, while we eat some raw chicken.
They saw their kids developing completely normal, maybe speaking 100 words go to no words at about 15 months of age.
Oh my God.
There's no good science of anything to show what causes autism. We don't know.
If you truly wanted to know the cause of the autism epidemic, anyone with a working brain should be able to look at this graph.
Yeah, I love this guy already. Anybody with some common sense, some critical thinking, with a working brain, should figure out why are these diseases sky high right now? Because they weren't just a couple decades ago.
And see that something very important happened around this time. Everyone in their right mind should be asking this simple question. What changed in the 1980s?
Well, good sir, it started way before that. It began with the World Wars. The World War I, and especially at the World War II. That's when it really became the NPK, whatever, fertilizers, vegetable oils, white sugar everywhere. Even though that one guy cured a lot of illnesses with white sugar, Kempner, Dr. Kempner, I believe he was. So, what changed about 100 years ago is a better question.
Where the results of a brand new study might just be the final nail in that coffin. And I'll be honest, guys, it's much worse than I thought. Because it's not
really much worse than you thought. Are you trying to be a little dramatic for your video? Because anybody with a working brain and some eyes to look around can see that things are super bad right now.
Not just autism which has skyrocketed. It's a range of neurodevelopmental, metabolic, and immunological disorders which...
Yeah, bro. Everything's rising. All of the bad things rising, all of the good things going down. No more virtue, no more good things, no more good people, toxicity, pollution.
Which have risen dramatically across the board in our children. People deserve to know why this is happening, and even more so, our children deserve justice. But coming back to...
Oh, hell yeah. Well, let me tell you what's going on. We got too much toxicity in our environment, in our bodies. That's what's going on. And we got too little nutrition, nourishment. Simple.
Our original question, there is one thing that definitely changed. The rate of autism tracks very closely with the increased administration of a certain medical procedure. This is both in pregnant mothers and in extremely young infants. Well, in 1983, children were given just 11 shots. But
11 too many.
following 1986, this is gradually increased to over 58 shots administered in 76 doses. In utero, this
Oh man, sometimes a picture is better than 1,000 words. Let's look at this. Makes you wonder, how the hell everybody before this were healthy human beings? All of those centuries, those thousands of years before this medication. How did people survive? How were there people living in up to 100 years old and over 100 years old? Without all of these medications to help us to survive. Already toxic modern world. I wonder, how did they do it? Whatever.
Diagram can help you visualize how bad this really is. And although we can't really talk about that yet on this platform, there have been many people who have noticed this trend over the years. In fact, this is something that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been investigating and openly discussing in the public domain for decades. As it turns out, RFK Jr. was recently...
I still got my eyes a little squint when I look at RFK Jr. Let's see what happens. What are you really working for? But anyway, he's right about this.
Grilled for his controversial views in the recent Senate confirmation hearings, all because he simply can't be bought and paid for by the industry. It's also in his nature to ask very difficult questions, which the establishment clearly doesn't like.
Are you supportive of these onesies? Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militant?
And who is paying this guy? Mr. Sanders, Bernie. Who's paying you? Your houses? Isn't this... I don't know about US politics that much. Because I don't care, because only thing I look at is who's paying these politicians? Who are they really working for? But you can see they're fucking yelling and shit on these highest of high level meetings about important subjects. They are getting mad and yelling because they don't want to lose that. They don't want to lose that dollar bill, y'all.
Anti-vaccine.
Your views are dangerous to our state and to our country.
Senator, you're asking me not to sue pharmaceutical companies.
Karen got a little bit mad over here. These people are getting triggered because they're losing their money. That's what this medication and most of the other medications are all about. Making that dollar. Cash rules everything around us. Cream get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Time to make sure that we blow the whistle on actually what your views are. At least we're starting.
You have compared the CDC's work to Nazi death camps. You've compared it to sexual abusers in the Catholic Church.
Of course, it's just a coincidence.
Oh, millions of dollars. What a coincidence indeed.
That the politicians who have been the most vocal opponents to RFK are also the largest recipients of money coming directly from pharmaceutical companies. They did not like it when RFK pointed out this very clear conflict of interest for everyone else to see.
You know, the problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies, it's in Congress too. almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry and protecting their interests.
But despite continual attacks from industry shills and corrupt politicians, there is a recent study which was published and goes a long way to vindicate RFK, and the results paint an extremely disturbing picture. Okay, so this study looked at the rate.
They show me the study, motherfuckers. They always coming to the case about 1 to 2 decades later. Because they ain't making no studies about this shit. That's why they ain't the best scientists. They ain't doing the best science. Like everybody with a working brain, some critical thinking, knows that these studies about real shit, if it becomes public decades later. Like these people who got this medication, and there's children that got this medication and got their lives broken, lives ruined. Too bad these studies weren't there 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when those children got fucked up. Too bad. So you can look at some studies, they can show things about our reality, how things work, for sure. And there are many very based scientists doing some very based science. But the thing is that these studies are there, one, confuse you, also brainwash you. Many of them are bait. Again, like those politicians, it's all about this. And there's some of them that ain't. Everything's basically going against them. It takes a long time to do it. So yeah, all of this, show me the study, nerds. How about you start to studying yourself? Experiment yourself. Look at other people's experiments. And look at some studies too. I realize if you only look at studies, you might be fucking up real bad. Your life might be ruined. Your children's lives might be ruined. Your choice.
Of neurodevelopmental disorders found in 47,000 children and 9 years of age on the Florida's Medicaid program. These disorders included autism spectrum disorder, hyperkinetic syndrome, epilepsy or seizures, learning disorders, encephalopathy, and tic disorders. Lo and behold, it found that children who were given this specific medical procedure.
I love how this guy needs to block out the word of the medicine this study is exposing here.
Were significantly more likely to develop every.
Also, I'm kinda surprised that these studies about this medicine that show the negative effects of this medicine are starting to come out. What's going on there? Are they starting to show the public a little bit how shitty the education system has been? Because many people get extremely triggered when you brought up this medicine this video is talking about. Like in real life, I've had some. I'm not gonna even go into it, but people get triggered when you brought up the negative side effects of this medicine. Goes to show how deep the brainwashing goes.
Single one of these conditions compared with the children who were not. But it gets much worse. For the children who were born prematurely, these kids, well, their risk of developing at least one of these disorders was 4 times higher. But here's the real kicker. The more shots a child had, the higher their risk of developing autism. Children with 1 shot had a 1.7 times increased risk, whereas those with 11 shots or more, which is really quite common, had a 4.4 times increased risk.
And what does toxicity do for us human beings. By the way, this is not only autism, it's allergies, it's ADHD, it's gut problems, cancers, it's many stuff. Autoimmune diseases.
This is huge. And why is this study so pivotal? Well, because for decades, the narrative has been that a certain medical procedure is universally safe and effective with minimal side effects. For those of us who are already familiar with this concept, well, it just confirms what we already know. But for those on the fence, it can act as a really useful stepping stone to investigating this further. Guys, this isn't anti-medicine. We're not anti-medical procedures per se. We are pro-science, we are pro-transparency, we are pro-health. So fingers crossed, guys. I'm hopeful that we're going to see more transparency. We're going to be seeing more stuff coming out in the coming months. And yeah.
This guy still lives in the bubble a little bit too much. Fingers crossed. We get some transparency, some studies. Come on, man. Come on, man. If you want to learn about this stuff and how to actually deal with it, heal yourself, depending how much toxicity you have gathered, you might be too far gone, because some people are too toxic these days. It's an uphill battle. But here's a great book by Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, GAPS, Gut and Psychology Syndrome, Autism, ADS, ADHD, Schizophrenia, Depression. This book delves deeper what's the cause of these issues and how to actually treat them. And I can spoiler alert you that it has to do with animal-based products. Natasha Campbell uses meat stocks high in collagen and gelatin to seal the gut lining, so the toxicity we eat can't seep through your gut into your system, because most people have a leaky gut. And it can also help to detoxify some of the toxic material out of your body. Raw meat also, you should maybe check out Arjunus Wonderblend's work. He goes with the raw animal products diet to deal with these issues. But these are good places to start. If you or somebody you know are dealing with these issues, that so many are these days. And let's hope they're being a little bit more transparent finally after one century. 1 century later, let's hope they are being a little bit more transparent about their evil plans that they set out to do over a century ago. Anyway, just like this guy, we are all for science and medicine. And like Hippocrates said, let food be your medicine. Let nature be your medicine. Anyway, that's it for today. Don't get that toxic shit in your body. The studies are starting to say it's gonna be a pretty bad time maybe for you or your children, if you can still have them, because the infertility crisis is another one. We just got another one. Anyway, see you tomorrow, if I'm still alive after eating raw chicken.